Did you know that blindly mailing your CVs to multiple job ads is the number one reason people fail to land jobs? In fact, it could annoy the recruiter so much, they might even end up blacklisting you. Instead, be focused. Only target jobs you have a good chance at landing interviews with. Learn this and many other powerful tips with our Land Your Dream Job program. It's an online course that includes a comprehensive toolkit consisting of CV templates, resume checklists, and many other useful tools. The best part about this program is a 3-month email guide that will help keep you on track as you look for your next role. Indeed, your dream job is waiting for you. Click this link now. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Singapore. Good morning to the entire LinkedIn universe. Thanks for tuning in this morning. As usual, another lovely Friday morning with Adrian, myself, and Yan. Good morning, Yan. How are you?
Morning. It's Friday. It's
Lovely
Friday,
Friday
and I can't
morning.
wait for the weekend. How is
The
everyone
weekend is
doing?
here. Yeah, you know, right? We work for the weekends, and one thing is that it's been a very busy week for the both of us. But we are back on air, and we want to share with you some very exciting ideas today. So, for those of you who may not be so familiar with us, my name is Adrian, and I'm the CEO founder of Career Agility International, and Yen is our executive director and co-founder as well. Yen.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, TGIF. Happy to be here, and we're excited to talk about some interesting things on risky career moves.
Correct. We've had a lot of calls this week. We've been talking to a lot of our B2C clients. And interestingly, we get a very large proportion of clients who are in their mid-careers, and they're coming to us and asking us, hey, I want to try this, I want to try that. And we listen, and we get a bit worried because the moves do sound quite risky, don't they, Yan?
I think I think they're just repressed, and they're just itching to change things up, because it's been a long time since anyone has done anything interesting. If you think about it, right, COVID has put a halt on a lot of our activities. So everyone's itching to travel, try new things. And, if they've been in a job for 3 to 5 years, they haven't seen a lot of progress. And then with the market looking hotter and more active, more opportunities. And so they're just looking at, wow, some of these opportunities sound really exciting, and they're very tempted to try.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, I like the idea of it being a bit repressed, like a cold spring, right? So it's like, you're very hungry, and suddenly you walk into a restaurant with a buffet line there.
Everything.
Let me let loose, right? But because it's such a sensitive topic, and it's because it's such a high risk idea to make a mid-career switch. We're not just talking about switching jobs. We're talking about making real switches, like switching industry or switching roles. We thought we'll spend some time today with our viewers to talk about 5 risky moves that you might want to avoid if you are in a mid-career situation and you're thinking of a mid-career switch. But first, we want to talk about the headlines. And what's really cool, I learned a new phrase this week, and I know I'm a bit behind the curve, but I learned a new phrase this week. It's called quiet quitting.
I've been quietly quitting for the last 20 years. I don't know what you're talking about. How is this new? No, I'm kidding. It's not a new idea, I think. But I think they found terminology or some vocabulary to describe it. And why does it shock you?
I don't know. I think just the word quiet quitting sounds silly.
Actually,
That's quiet quitting. Quiet quitting sounds like, I totally stopped doing my work altogether. I just take a
Right?
paycheck, right?
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think it's the wrong word to use. But do you want to explain what quiet quitting actually is?
My personal take on this, and there are a few ways that you can take this, but quiet quitting just refers to the fact that you've got very, very strict boundaries on the type of work you do, and you'll do up to what is optimal, but you don't go beyond expectations, which is more like an attitude towards the work that you have, kind of setting very, very clear boundaries. But that's my reading of
I think
of
you're
the
right. You're
attitude.
right. And my response to that is, I feel sad. I mean, if you really just do what's necessary, and not going above and beyond, how are you going to progress your career? But on the other hand, I also see the rationale behind it, because the people who are talking about quiet quitting are those who are feeling overworked and they're being piled on with other people's work and everything. So it's a strategy, it's a tactic, it's a coping mechanism to push back work that's not really yours.
Or it is a deliberate, clear boundary between work and life, because the individual who is of this attitude is probably thinking, my life is not my work. And so I work enough, I get paid enough, I don't want to strive any harder because I have something else going on the side that I want to focus on. It could be a side hustle, it could be a hobby. Maybe he's already financially very, very sound and does not require further stress, and decides
Possibly.
that, like yourself, maybe he just wants to potter around the garden a little bit more, or pursue his cycling hobby, something like that. I mean, nothing wrong with that, I think. But I think the word, you're right, the word quit
Quiet
is not a
quitting.
good
Okay.
word. It
No,
gives it
but
negative connotations.
you look at it, the definition, doing the bare minimum at work. I mean, that's just, sorry, call me old-fashioned. That's just bad attitude. Okay, that's just bad attitude. You should
It's
go
like a
above and beyond.
machine, one of those machines, and you put the coin in, and then it would function for all of that 3 minutes, and
Yeah,
then
and then
after
that's
which
it.
it
It
sort
just
of
goes
shuts
off.
down.
The ride is over, right? So it's like, nah. So if you are thinking of doing quiet quitting, our advice is, what advice would you give, Ian?
It's not a deliberate strategy, and I don't. I mean, I don't subscribe to it, because the very terminology of the word quit is not a good one. It is negative, versus say, I'm going to do my best, and then I will stop when it's about right to stop work for the
Yeah,
day, for
actually,
example,
I
which
like
has
that.
got a more positive sounding attitude. And there's
It's
nothing
better
wrong with
discipline,
drawing
right?
boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all should have some sort of boundary, so that
Mhm.
there's no transference. Work life harmonizing and all that. I'm fully subscribed to that. I don't like the terminology, so I don't know who coined it. That
Some
person's
TikToker,
unhappy.
apparently. Some TikToker. But, well,
You
our
know what?
advice. Oh,
Quiet quitting sounds like that thing you do 6 months before you actually
you,
leave,
you, you resign, right? It's like
right?
quiet quitting.
Because you've mentally decided that
You
I
mentally
will
checked
be
out
moving
already.
on.
Yeah.
Yes, and you've
Mentally
got
checked out.
something else waiting in the wings, and you just do enough. That's
Just
what it sounds
to,
like.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, unless you have something in your pocket already, this attitude may not help your career. So just be mindful
Agreed.
about it. Just because everyone
Yeah.
else is doing it, just make sure that you're not, okay. But anyway, we want to move on to our topic today, and our topic today is about the 5 riskiest mid-career moves to avoid. I was asked sometime back, Ian, what does career agility specialize in? And I was telling the person that, no, we specialize. If you look at it, for the past 5 years, in fact, we were formed. Career agility was founded to help mid-career executives to navigate their career crossroads. Right now, we have progressed to the point where we are helping those who have already found clarity to advance and master their career. But this topic about mid-career moves resonates very closely to our hearts, doesn't it?
It is our origin. In fact, our platform has always been about that second career crossroad that a lot of 35s to 45s tend to I guess, experience at some point when they start thinking, what's next? Or is that all there is? That's where we started. And like you rightly pointed out, when we moved on into, say, career progression acceleration strategies, that is our other platform right now as well.
True. So for those of you who just joined us, welcome to the Friday morning show. We run this LinkedIn Live every Friday morning for the benefit of our viewers and for the benefit of the public at large, where we talk about career matters. And my name is Adrian, and I'm the CEO founder of Career Agility International. And together with me is Yen, my co-founder and also our executive director. And she's our super coach because she's one of the most experienced, if not the most experienced career coach in Singapore. And together, we help individuals like yourself to find career clarity so that you can achieve career success and career happiness. So if you are a mid-career risk, you're in the middle of your career, and you want to have, we got lots of nice comments coming in. If you're in a mode where you're thinking, what's next? Should I make a move? Okay, you've tuned into the right channel, and we're gonna talk about it right now. So, if we look at it, why is it a higher risk for mid-career executives? And can you define what is exactly a mid-career executive?
I think someone who's had 10, 15 years of work experience is not junior anymore.
Not young ginger anymore.
has got a decent income, but also a lot of debt, and probably a sandwiched person with
what's a sandwich person? Someone who's like
someone sandwiched between two generations. Yes. So perhaps aging parents and young children in the mix. And so a lot of financial obligations as well. And so the risk here, I think, refers to the fact that they have already progressed and built some foundations within a specific industry or domain, so much so that if they do want to switch into something else, there's going to be a very significant opportunity cost.
Mm-hmm. So if you are a mid-career executive, why do we say that it's a pretty high risk to be looking at a career move? And it's high risk because, as what Yen pointed out, if you are a sandwiched person, and doesn't mean that you eat a lot of sandwiches like me, okay, but if you're a sandwiched person where you have bills to pay and you have responsibilities to look after, it gets a bit tricky because if you make a wrong move, there are ramifications, there are repercussions. So it is a bit high risk. And, if you were younger, maybe in your early 20s, and if you make a career switch, a switch back would be quite straightforward. But if you're in this zone, we have to be very mindful. So we want to highlight to you that before you make that switch, these are the 5 things that you need to think about before you do the switch. And the first one is one of the very common ones, mistaking your fantasy job for your dream job. What do we mean by this? You see,
it's like when you're forced to study something you didn't want to because your parents insisted.
Yeah. And
you've always wanted to do something else. Your parents said, no, go get a degree. And then they force you to study, say, accountancy.
Law.
And you get your accounting degree, after which you pursue an accounting job for about 10 years. And then you decide, I've got some money set aside. Let me now pursue my dream of setting up my own restaurant or a cafe.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. But that's a fantasy job rather than a dream job, because it's something which is nice to have, and you can imagine yourself in it. You're fantasizing, It's I've always wanted, my fantasy job has always been to be a tour guide and show, as I always say, to show tourists the nicer parts of Singapore, the nice food in Singapore, make friends and everything. But it doesn't pay the bills, unfortunately. So it's a fantasy job. What's your fantasy job, Ian?
I was literally considering a bakery at one point. I mean, the thought came in and then the thought quickly left, because you know how hard it is to run a business and to do industrial-sized orders. It's nice to bake one cake, but it's not if you have to start doing like 50 different cakes in the hundreds. And every time, I bake for Chinese New Year, I give up the ghost.
Oh, okay. Imagine the kitchen mess, the kitchen nightmare
Right?
after baking, especially tarts
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah.
But the challenge lies, okay, for those of us who are tuning in right now, the challenge lies is that if you are a mid-career executive and you are tired and exhausted or just frustrated with your current job, and you decide to quit and try out a fantasy job, which may or may not happen, chances are may not happen. You're running a very huge risk and you're mistaking a fantasy job for a dream job. So imagine if you're in sales with a mid-sized software company and your dream job, your fantasy job could be, wow, I want to start a bakery, or, I want to start a pet grooming shop, whatever it is. That's a fantasy job. But ideally, more realistically, your dream job could be to work with Amazon or Facebook or one of those bigger size companies where there's a bigger team, better products to sell, a good mentor to learn from. That's probably a dream job to have. But when you forgo everything that you have for a fantasy, that's where it gets risky. But then, how do you distinguish between a dream job and a fantasy job?
I don't know. I don't subscribe to labels. I think it's just whether or not something is realistic, and whether or not you have counted all of your chickens. Count all your chickens. You make sure that you check everything before you rush into a decision. I don't know. I mean, something fantastical. I mean, it sounds like it's just one of those unreachable goals, and it's nice to think about. I still feel like fantasy jobs are reachable if you plan.
I think they're
well.
reachable. Maybe not now, but
I mean,
you see,
it
for
could be
me,
a nice retirement activity.
It could be, right? It could be. And for me, I think for those of you out there who are wondering whether this job that I want, is it fantasy job or a dream job? A dream job is something that, yes, I'm definitely going to take it. If the offer comes in, I'm just going to take it. I'm going to do it. That's a dream job I want to do. So a fantasy job, it's probably something that may be a higher risk or may not be so sustainable in the long run. Okay, or it's just a fun project to do. That's possibly a fantasy job. Like sometimes people tell you to start a business, or you have an idea. I hate my job so much, maybe I should just start a business. But I have no idea what to sell. But hey, multi-level marketing, I'm sure I can sell someone something. That's dangerous. So you have to distinguish. If you need to make a move, make sure you move for a very realistic dream job rather than a rather difficult to achieve, far up the horizon fantasy job.
Fantasy and dream sounds the same to me, but
it's a stretch.
Yeah, it's a stretch.
You see, when I was a headhunter, when I was doing full-time headhunting back in 2012, my fantasy job was to start up a career strategy consulting firm where people would come to us and I will be the industry expert, and I'll run a team of very experienced career coaches, almost like a clinic. But back in 2012, that was a fantasy. See, so I didn't just drop everything off, all my work and everything, and just start it. It took me 6 years to turn the fantasy real. So don't give up on your fantasy job. Okay, figure out, is it realistic? How do I get there? That's really important. Don't give up your fantasy. Don't give up your dreams. Just make sure that you have
It's grounded in reality.
And it's grounded in reality, exactly.
Yeah, which leads us to the second point.
Yeah.
It's about emotions, right? That when it comes to our jobs and our careers or our decisions, or when a trigger occurs during your regular grind, it's very easy to go, okay, this is it, I'm quitting, and then you kind of throw a tantrum and leave. So you got to watch out for the emotions, and so walk away from it first, calm down, and then and think things through and put everything into a plan. So be rational about it. That's my take.
What's funny is we were talking about quiet quitting just now, right? So what you just said, make noise and leave. I think that's the opposite of quiet quitting. That's noisy quitting. So it's like,
that's a tantrum.
Just throw a tantrum and leave. I've actually seen that happen before.
Literally, you witnessed it?
I witnessed it once.
Wow.
Many years ago. I was a temp. This was after my A-levels. I was a temp staff at temp clerk. In those days, we used to call them temp clerks. In an aerospace company, and one of the ladies just got so pissed off, she literally did used the keyboard and just smashed it on the table and just a stream of consciousness vulgarities came out, and she just walked off. It was like,
That's dramatic.
Yeah, it was
That's
dramatic.
dramatic. I mean, it's rare to witness something like that, I think. But we do read a lot about it online on Reddit and BuzzFeeds. Everyone talks about how they got petty revenge at
And
work.
those were the days before your mobile phones. Otherwise, I'm sure someone would have videoed it and posted it up on
Right?
on YouTube.
I can
But
imagine.
this was 1991. So your video camera was like. So anyway,
Huge.
We digress. But you see, if you want to make a mid-career switch, make sure it's you're more rational rather than emotional, because the worst decisions are made when you're emotional. The worst words that you use, the worst decisions, the worst actions that you take, a lot of times comes from you being very emotional. Okay, and I can tell you that because as a very rational person that I am, but when I'm driving, sometimes I do get very emotional when I see BMW drivers. Oh, sorry, apologies to BMW drivers, but cars of a certain make, the way they drive, they cut you off, and you're like, and I gotta tell myself, okay, calm down, don't get a stroke. There are people out there just like that. So you have to be rational rather than emotional. And if you're irrational and emotional, you might just quit nothing in hand, and that's a bad move for a mid-career executive.
Yeah, I mean, unless there are more pressing concerns like your health, in which case, please it's not worth staying in a job that's going to, make you ill. So please don't. But if you can be a little bit more rational, so take a breather, think about it a little bit, speak to some professionals, you'll find that it's probably more manageable. So yes, don't be emotional and don't be hasty.
One last point on this topic is when you're drowning, anything looks like a flotation device. Okay, when you're panicking and you're drowning in the ocean, even if a twig comes by or a straw or whatever, you'll be grabbing it. So when you're in that state of panic, you might just do something silly like quit your job and start a business or whatever. So take a breather and take a step back. And this is something which I see a lot of. And what do you think? People who see a lot of that.
If you're upset about something and you meet up with your friends, guess what's the topic of conversation? You're going to unload, right? You're going to unload on your friends about your bosses or your colleagues or the work or the customer. You're going to be the one unloading and just venting, if anything. Yeah. And then your friends are going to listen and go, oh, why do you do this? And why do you do that? And try this. And so they mean well. They mean well, but they might not necessarily have the experience or the knowledge to give you valid advice.
Yeah. And like what you said, sometimes the advice is well-intentioned, but a lot of times it's unqualified. Like what we always say, the worst advice to get is follow your passion, right? It's like, quit your job, follow your passion, go bake, go be a busker on the road, go be.
People who can give you that sort of advice have already got a chunk of change stored aside. And so they definitely have that ability to follow their passion and thinking, hey, you should too, because I regret not doing it. Not realizing that their journey and yours are going to be very different. So it's very important to remember that the context of their journey and yours, it's entirely different. They're not you. And so when you get the well-meaning older gentleman who tells you, don't worry, it's like this, I've been through it, you're going to be fine, or an older relative, you know how relatives are, they're going to tell you stuff, but they're of a different generation, and I think their world was also very different. So
I think what's interesting,
take the advice with a pinch of salt. And
I think what's really interesting is sometimes when people tell you follow your passion, it's just a throwaway piece of advice which they're just trying to get rid of you. Whatever, like you got a problem, follow your passion. Okay, then they buzz off. It's basically telling you to get lost. Okay, just follow your passion. Okay, follow your gut. Follow your instinct. It's like, now let's go away. Don't bug me with your problems. I got my own problems to begin with. So don't blindly listen to others, because if
if you have a toothache, you go, what do? Do you like go online and check? Do you like ask your friends? So you go straight to the dentist and get it fixed.
Yeah, make your first appointment.
Yeah, straight
And
away,
if
right?
if you needed to buy a house, you go to a real estate agent, and then you go to a lawyer and get the transaction done. You don't go to your best friend unless your best friend is also a lawyer.
Yeah, that's true. So, don't blindly listen to others. Listen to people who are able to give you qualified advice. Okay. And with no hidden agenda. Sorry, I'm going to click this now. Now, the fourth thing we want to look at is sometimes if you do not have a career strategy and you're just thinking, oh, okay, yeah, this sounds nice. Why don't I go for it? Does it sound familiar?
Too many people have jumped on bandwagons that did not work out just because it was trendy. Remember the bubble tea thing?
Yeah.
I think it's made a great comeback, but there was a season when there were a lot of bubble tea shops that died.
And you know what? Now it's
trendy.
the coconut thing. I don't know. I see a coconut shake thing every corner that I turn around. It's like all over the place.
Right. So I'm not sure it is necessarily a bad thing, but have you properly thought your business plan out? Have you decided on how your model is going to work? Where's the income coming from? What's your outlay? So there's so many other things to consider.
Yeah.
So don't just follow. But you know how a lot of I hear this a lot. Oh, this is the best counter. You should go buy the shares now because I heard the company is doing whatever.
A friend told me.
No, you might end up in another GameStop situation. Who knows, right?
Be careful
of bandwagons.
The early investors in GameStop, they made money.
But you were regretting.
But you'll be left holding on to the baby because you heard it.
Did you regret not doing Bitcoin?
Okay, don't go there. Don't go there. I do not regret. I do not regret not buying Bitcoin at 60,000. Okay, so yes, I regret not buying Bitcoin at $2,000 when my 15-year-old son told me like 5 years ago. Okay, so. But nonetheless, the whole idea is you must have a career strategy. If you think that, hey, maybe running a startup is a good idea for me right now, or maybe I want to join, maybe you're in your mid-career, you're about 48, and you say, I want to join Google. I want to join one of those fast-moving. But, do you want to? Is it something that is going to burn you out? So you need to have a career strategy to think about things and to figure out whether or not it makes sense. And sometimes it's hard to have a career strategy because you do not know where to start. And if you're in that position, what do we do, Yen? What do we always tell people?
Well, come talk to us. You can send us a message at info@careeragility.org. I repeat, that's info@careeragility.org. A typical question we have with individuals who are kind of in the maelstrom of confusion, they would ask something like this, if there's an internal opportunity, but there's an external job, which one is more superior? The answer is, what's your strategy? What do you want to do with your career, and then which vehicle you think would get you closer to your own goal? So if without an idea of where your vision is, how do you know which road to take? So yes, please decide on a career strategy and make some plans around it.
Yeah, come talk to us. Okay, come talk to us. And of course, the final biggest and highest risk mid-career move to do is to navigate your entire career crossroad on your own. Okay, it is dangerous because you don't know what you don't know, and that's the thing that gets you often, doesn't it?
No, okay. This is where it can get a little bit contentious because you and I, we know a lot of individuals who somehow do very well for themselves, and that's okay. And sometimes we, if you think about it, right, if the individual has got great mentors and a strong network, and is fortunate enough to have access to good advice, guess what? They're not alone. So, and think about it when someone is trying to just talk out whether or not this opportunity makes sense, or whether I should study more, should I take on this extra qualification? There's so many questions. Should I take this project because the company is asking me to go to Outer Mongolia? And I don't know, should I relocate? Or if I say no to this promotion, what's the implication? So there are many career conundrums, and we want to highlight that if you're confident and you have enough friends and a strong network, great. But where it gets us is this: the individuals who come to us when a trigger happens, and they have already been talking to us, but they didn't subscribe to our programs or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, they come along and they've made a decision to join an organization. I'm like, oh my goodness, you should have told us, because within 1 week you knew that it was a bad move. You knew the moment you entered the door, you knew it was.
It's
it
was an moment, right?
It was an moment, and then wow, hang on, why did you not come to us? You knew, you knew. Don't wait.
Right. So
But,
it's
situations where we could have helped you.
it will be less painful, okay, and sometimes even less costly, even. Okay, if you make a career mistakes,
like what you like to say. You like to say this, and I like to quote you on this. Don't wait until it rains to fix your roof.
Yeah, actually, my other quote was a bit more off color, but but it's true. Okay, you make sure you know where all the exits are. Okay, when and I'm a bit an over planner in that aspect. Okay, I always make sure that I got backup plans. I always make sure that everything. And as a gardener, okay, one of my other saying is the best time to plant a tree is like 8 years ago. Okay, so the same thing.
That's true.
Okay, the best time to plant trees 8 years ago, and you want the fruits, you can't get fruits right away. So don't have to go at it alone. You ask people, ask your career mentors if you have one, hire a coach, come talk to us. Okay, we are not expensive. We are not expensive, especially with regards to the value that we can bring. Yesterday, a client booked us for an hour of our time, and at the end of it, he walked away and said, man, that was a $10,000 piece of advice. Okay. And it literally was, because we were discussing about very, very sensitive information about his career and everything. So come talk to us if you have a question, but don't go at it alone. In summary, what we're saying is this: if you are if you're at a career crossroad now, it's quite normal. Many of us have that situation somewhere in our career, but especially more so if you're a mid-career individual between 35 to about 45 or 48, where the stakes are high. Okay, you don't want to make a mistake that could have been avoided. You want to have another pair of eyes, another 2 pairs of eyes, in fact, looking at you and telling you, maybe this isn't the best move. How about doing that? Okay. Come talk to us. Yen and I, we specialize in this.
I want to just highlight that it's important that you also put in the work that we ask you to do.
Yeah.
So how Adrian, you like to say, just come talk to us, we'll help you, and you make it sound like it's a very easy process.
Yeah.
It sometimes isn't that straightforward.
The talking to us part is getting the solution part requires work, which we will always work together with you, okay, hand in hand, to make it less painful. We're not saying it's going to be painless, okay, but it's going to be less painful, shorter, and the journey is going to be less stressful as well. And
it's hard work.
It's hard work, but tell me what of value in life is not hard work?
Yeah.
Besides striking a lottery. But you want to strike the total also, you got to queue up for like 1 hour. I see the queues outside. I don't gamble, so but I'm seeing queues outside. It's like, wow, that's a lot of hard work,
I think they've automated it. All you need to do is go online these days.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Well, we do not encourage gambling. As a statistician myself, your odds of getting that amount of money is minuscule. So don't
never won anything.
Take your money and come invest in us. Okay, invest in a session with us. Actually, you get better returns anytime. But what we do is we help our clients like yourself with our career partner program. We come in and we help you with what's next in your career. We talk to you and we help you map out your path forward, and we talk about options and which are the best options to do. Okay, so we do get people who have very, very good responses, and come talk to us. We're always happy to have that conversation. Just email us info@careeragility.org. Our team is on standby to help you with your career questions, and we're always happy to help you. So if you are at a career crossroad right now, just you also can reach out to us via LinkedIn as well. Okay, always happy.
So it's Happy Friday.
Cool. Happy Friday, and we've come to the end of the show. And if you have any other topics you'd like us to discuss in the coming weeks ahead, please drop us an email as well. And maybe if you have any other career questions you'd like us to address on air, do the same thing. You can even WhatsApp us at +65 8838 0557. Okay, so we come to the end of the show, and we want to thank you for tuning in. Once again, my name is Adrian, and I'm the CEO, founder of Career Agility International. And Yen is our super coach. Yen, any last
Take
final
care.
words?
Have a think about your career. Layer it over with your market information and your research. Yeah, do a bit of thinking over the weekend. And TGIF.
TGIF. Have a great weekend, guys. Take care. Bye.
Bye.